So what was it like going from Lincoln and being like, okay, it's time for something else. It's time to move. Because obviously 3.5 years isn't 3 months.
In my mind, I had an image already of what I thought insurance agents looked like, and it didn't look like me.
And I drove out to their house, and I was like, man, I hope they don't answer the door. I was so nervous that they're going to answer the door, and I knocked on the door.
With Lincoln, I was limited to only 4 states, and I grew up in Virginia, but I can't even help people in Virginia,
Right. I was like, hey, do you think I can get my license? I was arrested before or something like that. And
so in the 4 or 5 days that we were there on the phones, I think I was able to produce like over $7,000 in AP in a couple of days.
Where are we going? What's the destination look like?
I will own and operate the largest call center for life insurance in the country.
Welcome to my show of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, where we hear from regular people who got tired of living their ordinary lives and were not afraid to make that jump.
You gotta be different. You can't be doing what everyone else is doing. You gotta create action. You gotta create momentum. So I'm looking for demand and I'm looking for mentorship because I wanted to know everything my mentor knew.
People who are just like you and me. Hey, David Price here with another episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. If you see something you like, please hit that thumbs up button. Hit that little bell so you get a notification every single time I make a video. And please subscribe. If there's something that you see or some questions that you have, put it in the comments. And if there's a video you want me to make or some kind of training that you need, put it in the comments. I'll make a training video just for you. I want to help more insurance agents succeed and do well in this business. So really excited. I have a special guest today, all the way from Mississippi, Steven. How you doing, Steven?
I'm doing well. How about you, David?
Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming down. You drove down here, right?
I did.
How was the drive?
Long, but it was beautiful, sightseeing. This is like my second time coming here, so it was a nice ride.
You guys just dodged a major hurricane.
Right. We were kind of looking to see if we see any damage, but it was not much to see.
Yeah, just got to go about three more hours south. And
Okay.
It's all down there.
Okay.
So really excited about you. You started working with us about 4 months ago, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Really excited that you joined the team. But let's talk about what you did before insurance. So you grew up in Virginia?
I did. I actually grew up in Newport News, Virginia. I went to high school there. All my children were born there. Most of my career has been in call centers. I worked for timeshare sales for 5 years as a supervisor in a small call center environment. We kind of booked the tours right down here in Orlando at the Vacation Village Resort. So that was pretty cool to actually come and see that stuff. I've also done things like I worked for a local car dealership as a business development person, following up with people that had service work done, making sure their experience was good. I've worked for MCI, I've worked for Verizon. I've always been in a call center dealing with customers.
Okay, so you're comfortable on the phone, obviously.
I am.
Have you ever sold insurance in the field?
Oh, yes. I
have?
did. I started off in the field with Lincoln Heritage for my first year of insurance. That was an experience, I am an introvert a little bit, and so I kind of shy away from meeting new people face to face. So having to go and knock on people's doors and talk to them, that was a little unnerving. It was a couple times that I had to drive around a couple times to build my nerve up before I did it. So yeah.
It's crazy that you have all that phone experience and then you came, worked in the field. Obviously you work on the phone now. That reminds me, my first house, right, the first lead I got, they called our TV commercial, and they called a senior life insurance company TV commercial, and I drove out to their house, and I was like, man, I hope they don't answer the door. I was so nervous that they're going to answer the door, and I knocked on the door, and I knocked, but I didn't knock as loud as I could knock.
Right.
And I waited a minute. I thought, they must not be home, and I left. Right, I didn't knock again or anything like that, and that was my first door ever. So yeah, I understand when you say driving around. Like I was like nervous. That was in South Florida because I came down to South Florida to train, but I was living in Louisiana at the time. Mm-hmm. So I went from that house in Miami, all the way to Lafayette, Louisiana, and then I was like, all right, cool, I'm ready now, right?
Right.
So, but I was definitely scared. Man, so it sounds like you had a lot of different jobs. How did you find insurance?
Actually, a friend of mine. My story with insurance is kind of unique. I moved here from Virginia, And it so happens that I ran into a buddy of mine from Virginia down in Alabama who was in the insurance industry also at that time. And he was the one that introduced me to the business and ended up bringing me into the business. And so it was like I moved 800 miles away from my home to run into somebody from my home that brought me to insurance. So I've always said it was supposed to be meant to be.
So when you presented the opportunity, were you skeptical at first?
Oh,
were you,
yeah.
Yeah?
Oh,
You want
yeah.
to talk about that?
Sure. He invited me to come to an opportunity meeting. At that time period, it was face-to-face, like in the room with everybody. And so, in my mind, I had an image already of what I thought insurance agents looked like, and it didn't look like me, And so I went there thinking one thing, and then when I got there, it was just completely different. It was so many people. What I really liked the most is like, everybody seemed like they had energy. They seemed like they were, they knew what they wanted, you know what I mean? And for me, coming from my background, I was like, hey, this feels good. I can feel it just by being here. I like this, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy, the personal development and stuff. But like I could understand like coming in, especially showing up to an opportunity meeting, right? I was with a couple of different network marketing companies, and like I've been to those opportunity meetings. Everyone's on something, right? Everyone's hyped on something. So Lincoln Heritage was your first company. You started with them. What was it like getting your license first off?
Well, I had some challenges getting my license. We all have a past, and I have one too. And so there was some challenges going through the traditional onboarding. I actually got denied the first time. And so what I chose to do was to go and do it myself. And so I went and took the state exam myself. I had to go through the state of Alabama. At the time I was living in Alabama, and do the paperwork myself and get it approved. It took longer than the traditional process, but I really wanted it. So I completed that. And then I came back to Lincoln Heritage and said, hey, I got my license. Can you guys give me a chance now? And they did.
I love it. I love that. It's so funny because I see people with roadblocks. I hear some people sometimes like, hey, do you think I can get my license? I was arrested before or something like that. And I say, I've never seen anyone not get their license unless they give up.
Right.
That's it. I've never seen, it's a process sometimes,
Right.
and it makes sense, right? We got to protect people, dealing with the financial
Absolutely.
industry, and just, the legitimacy of the industry that we're in. So you got your license now. You're a field agent. Let's talk about those first, what was it like that first day? Like you went to work or like that, when you're like, all right, I got leads, or let's go through that.
All right. So, I lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but the office that we worked out of was in Birmingham. So I had to drive 45 minutes to go to Birmingham to the office first for the regular weekly meeting. And then, I got my leads. My leader was there, and I've already done my field training with him. So this is going to be my first day on my own. And I got my GPS and my route planned, and I'm ready. I'm thinking I'm ready until I actually get in the car, and I'm driving, and I'm getting closer and closer to the first house. And I sat around the corner at the store for, a good 30 minutes before I actually went to the door and knocked on the door. I'm a sweater, so I was sweating, and I was just like, I don't know. But I went, and the lady was so nice. That's what made it so much easier. She was nice to me. I did a good job. I didn't get that first sale, but I did get a sale that first day. So, it kind of made me feel better about what I was doing, and as time went on, honestly, I got really comfortable talking to people. I knew how to, say the right things to, build rapport with them and make them comfortable, make myself comfortable at the same time. And I really found that the best thing was just to be me, and not try to just come in as some perfect salesperson. So nope, just regular old Steven. So
that's awesome. I mean, making your sale first day, that's definitely awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely understand the fear. Like I said, I didn't want my first door. I didn't want them to answer. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm going to make all this money with insurance. I'm going to be a huge sales team, but like, I hope this person don't answer the door. Right. And they called our TV commercial. So that's crazy. So how did you go from, being a field agent to transferring over to the phones? Because, it's funny in Final Expense, so many people think that you can't sell on the phone, and obviously, we do a great job. You do a great job of it. As a group, we do an amazing job with it. How did you transfer over? Was it because of COVID?
It was, and honestly, before COVID, I had already expressed the desire to my leadership that I want to work on the phone. So, the phone is me. I'm better on the phone than in person. And so at that time, there was only like a specific group at Lincoln that was doing telesales, and we didn't have that kind of access. And so when COVID happened and everybody had to go to the phone, a lot of people were nervous and, like, man, this is going to change my business. But I was excited. I was ready, and 2 months after we went to the phones, I had my very best production month ever in the whole business the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was a field agent. So my agency was all field agents. I had 2 telesales agents, but none of them were having, one was very semi-part-time and the other one was getting part-time results. They weren't, really putting the effort in. They weren't grasping it yet.
Right.
And COVID happened and I'm like, all right, got to make decisions fast. And it was before they locked us down. I never thought they would lock us down.
Right.
And I would argue, if you're like, Dave, they're gonna lock us down. I'm like, they can't lock us down. They're not gonna lock us down. We would have an argument. But I'm wrong sometimes. But I called up my agents. I was like, listen, we're not allowed in the field anymore. Because in my head, like, people are going to be scared of us to go come to their house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we need to start learning how to sell on the phone. So that's it. You can't go in the field. Like, it was like you take it away from them. And the month of April, right, which was like the first month of COVID, like that was a month, like everyone just kind of shut down for that month. That was our best producing month, 100% on the phones.
Wow.
At that time, it was the best. And then I was like, this is what we've been missing.
Right.
So now you're on the phones. How did it feel? I mean, you said you had your best month. You feel a lot more comfortable now?
I do. I love talking to people on the phone. I've been doing it for so long. It seems like I know how to build relationships with people. I mean, I'm really on the phone looking to make a friend, somebody that, 'cause I always say that if this goes right, then we're going to have a relationship for the rest of your life. That could be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, I don't know. But you should know me, I should know you, so that when we're interacting during that time period, then it's not uncomfortable. You can call me and say, hey, Stephen, this is Miss Jones. How them girls doing? And I'm like, yeah, they're great. She graduated from high school or whatever the case may be. So when I'm talking on the phone to them, I actually open up and share about my life too, so they don't feel like it's just one-sided.
That's awesome. Yeah, you definitely do a good job. I've talked on the phone with you many times, man. so you're great at building rapport. What so how long were you at Lincoln for?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Mm-hmm. So
what was it like going from Lincoln and being like, okay, it's time for something else. It's time to move. Because obviously 3.5 years isn't 3 months, right? That had to be a hard decision for you.
Oh, it was. It definitely was. I had built some strong relationships with some people over there, people that I've grown to love, people that have supported me during this journey. So the decision to make the switch to senior life was difficult. I think the biggest thing was really just seeing the bigger picture. I'm a helper. I like to help people. So I wanted to help more people, with Lincoln, I was limited to only 4 states, and I grew up in Virginia, but I can't even help people in Virginia. I can't even build a team in Virginia. And so I'm like, man, so when I heard about the opportunity with Senior Life and talked to other people, and they were like, we can actually sell in, for at least 40 states, and we can build teams all over the country. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. That's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to share this opportunity with more than just people in certain areas, So that was the ultimate thing that kind of made me say, I think it's just time to take a risk on it and do something different. I really felt and feel still that it's the best thing for me and my family, and my organization. So.
I love it. I love it how you did it in a place where it wasn't about you. It was about helping other people succeed and being offered opportunity to more people. So what was because I know, right? Like starting a new job, right? First day of school, right? All those unknowns. I know that a lot of fear, anxiety comes with that because you assume something's one way, right? But you get there, it's always going to be different or something. What was that like?
Well, luckily for me, shortly after we made the transition here, myself and another agent had the pleasure of going to the home office for a week and working there. And so it gave me a chance to kind of see leadership and, how senior life operates up close and personal. And I paid attention to the way they treated us as agents, new agents, how they talked to us, and, just their willingness to want to help us, come in and make sure that everything was smooth. And that meant a lot, and it gave me confidence to do well. And so in the 4 or 5 days that we were there on the phones, I think I was able to produce like over $7,000 in AP in a couple of days. Just
first 4 or 5 days.
First 4 or 5 days.
That gets rid of the butterflies real fast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and they had like a bell that you could ring in there when you get to sell some, ringing the bell, and other guys ringing the bell. So that was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, Senior Life does a great job of making you feel special and really extending, right? I mean, to be able to work in their call center in their home office,
right?
Brand new, right? It's like I didn't prove myself. I haven't done anything yet, and they still open the doors for basically anyone. So that's really awesome. So what are some goals that you have? Well,
at Lincoln, I became a 6-figure ring earner. So that's the first goal, to come and make sure it's not just a fluke at one company. I can do it again over here with Senior Life. And then I also, I'm looking to build my organization into at least $100,000 organization per month and help somebody else make it to 6 figures. I have a couple of people that, transitioned over to Senior Life as well. And I want to help them get better results than they got before. I know I'm making more money than I've made over there. And so if they're not making more money than they made over there, then it's kind of like I still have some work to do.
Awesome. I love it, man. Just always trying to help people. What's the end game? Where are we going? What's the destination look like?
The destination for me is I will own and operate the largest call center for life insurance in the country.
I love it. That's awesome, man. It's going to be virtual or it's going to be brick and mortar?
It's going to be brick and mortar.
Brick and mortar, old school,
man.
Going
back to it. Yes, sir.
Going back to it. Awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming out here, man. If there's like a new agent watching this and, they're struggling, what would be a piece of advice that you would have for them?
Trust the process. Most of the time, the leadership that you have, they've already walked the path. That's the one thing about this opportunity, is that you don't have to come and reinvent the wheel. You just have to come in and you have to follow, you have to trust, you have to believe, and you have to put forth the action, and if you do those things and, then you can have success. I've never seen a person come into this business and do those things and fail. You fail when you try to skip a step.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or you don't.
Or you don't do it.
You do it one day, right?
Right.
So that's awesome, man. You're hiring and recruiting nationwide?
I am.
That's it. So how would somebody find you if they're interested in being on your team, coached and mentored by you? Okay.
Well, I actually have a Facebook page. It's Ascension Group LLC. And then I also have Instagram. It's Ascension Insurance Group. And that's ASCENSION Insurance Group, because we're rising to the top. And, my phone number, of course, is if I'm able to give that out.
Yeah, of course.
601-551-6110. Contact me anytime. We would love to have you a part of our organization.
Awesome, man. So if you're interested in learning how to sell final expense on the phone and you want to learn from somebody who's actually doing it and great at it, Steven just gave you his contact information. Reach out to him. If you're a little shy, put something in the comments and I'll have someone from my team call you up and we can connect you. This has been another amazing episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. If you like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and hit the bell so that way you get a notification every time we make a new video. And if there's some comments you have on this video, please put it in the comments. If there's a video you think you need to hear or you want to see some kind of training video, put that in the comments too. I'll make a training video just for you. Thank you.